So you got to know this. 3 choices. We're already seeing the indicators. Occupations that are testing the vendors, or the companies that are testing the vendors and they're coming up positive of the COVID-19 on a titer test, they are requesting or recommending that every person that came in contact with that vendor get tested. What happens when you test positive on a titer test? You're under the control of the health department. You're under quarantine. You won't be able to make any money for the 14 days that you're under quarantine. You can't leave your house. You have to have everything sent to you via delivery. Everything must be done via online. You're seeing the rollout of online where the brick and mortar is going to be really minimal or no more, or you have to earn your way into a brick and mortar establishment. You're seeing the rollout of the only way for you to make money is if you have proof of immunity. That's why they're also turning to the cashless society. Okay? Because when you have a cashless society, everything is tracked and done through digitized. And it is tracked, it is controlled, yes. Which means that, yeah, you can't work under the table, you can't work for straight cash, which means that you have to take part in the system. You have to be plugged in. So what is this chip? The chip is basically the antibodies. The antibodies that attach to your DNA and alter your DNA relative to the intention. Okay? There is a huge campaign, a huge amount of fear being sold that, oh my God, you get exposed to the virus, which half the population is afraid to do that because you see people are like going nuts over not wearing masks, right? They're like, oh my God, you're not wearing a mask, oh my God. And then other half the population is like, we don't need to wear a mask. Everyone's been exposed. I'm asymptomatic. What's the issue? They're doing they're doing a lot of not mandatory, but they're doing a lot of mass testing. They want to see how prevalent the antibodies are out there. And whenever you get tested, people have tested positive, they tested negative. And so that lays the groundwork to be like, well, we don't know who's been immunized. And to them, immunization is to where you have antibodies that destroy the evolving cells so you don't feel pain. Okay? But the thing is that when you actually do feel pain, then the industry, the allopathic holistic, mischaracterize that pain, and then you apply antibiotics to stop the evolution even more. So it's like they're giving you evolution and also taking away. A really bad vaccine, okay, is when you don't feel anything at all. There is absolutely no reaction, which means that you're already dead, or you're not dead all the way, but you're already dead in those areas, or you're so healthy, which we know anyone that's not doing the Jilly Juice is not healthy. Okay? So it's alarming if somebody gets a vaccine and they have no reaction. But that is what the allopathic holistic people, the anti-vax and the pro-vax, that's what they bank on, is that they get no reaction from the vaccine. But actually that is the opposite of way you should be expecting a good vaccine. A good vaccine, you feel the evolution, you feel the pain, and then you have to support your body correctly. But that's neither here nor there. Now you need to know exactly what you're faced with. This is why I've been now looking at vaccines as, okay, you're not going to win against the system. You're not going to win against the system because they already have all sides covered. They know exactly your reactions. They've created the arguments and they know your reactions, okay? So you have 3 choices. You avoid getting tested so you don't come up positive and then be under the control of the health department, be under control of the health department, quarantine, and then potentially have the sheriff monitor your movements. Okay? So that's one choice until a vaccine comes out. The second choice is you get tested, you come up positive. Now you're under quarantine. Now you have to be social distancing. Now you are under the control of the health department for who knows how long. And maybe there's more experimental stuff that they want to do to you because you came up positive on a titer test. The third option is that you get the vaccination, you get the paperwork, and this is what's been proven with the Jilly Juice, because you can change your blood type, yes. You will see the reversal in your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and potentially the aging process with Jilly Juice, because you've released the antibodies that have been altering your DNA, causing the slow and fast acceleration of degradation, decay, aging, and then the altering of your body, mind, and spirit. You're seeing it in me if you've been watching me long enough. You're seeing it, and other people who've been doing the Jilly Juice are seeing a change in their biochemistry. Somebody asked me through email, will Jilly Juice, cure my autism? Now, of course, Jilly Juice is not a cure. We don't suppress any healing. We don't stop cell generation. If anything, we promote it, but you have to feel pain. So how do I respond to the guy? Autism is just a type of biochemistry, and you have the ability to alter your biochemistry relative to your expectation and your intention. And that's all I say. It's not a cure. You got to deal with whatever it takes for you to alter your biochemistry to where you don't feel and see the exhibited characteristics of whatever alteration you have, which is diagnosable diseases. Okay, so these are the three choices. And some of you are going to be like, well, I don't want to take the vaccine. I'd rather go live off a grid. I'd rather go and resist. And you can do that for a minute. But how are you going to make money? Well, I'm going to go live off grid and grow my own garden. Well, you're going to want to have climate control. You're going to want to have other foods besides whatever vegetable or fruit you can grow in your specific area. But that's why they're trying to turn into a cashless society, because they don't want people who are off-gridding, doing their whole organic gardens, think that they can go into the community and use cash. Oh, but then they'll try to barter. But they're going to outlaw that. I'm telling you guys, resistance is futile. You could possibly get away with being off-grid and resisting the testing and resisting the vaccine for only so long. And then they're going to require everybody, you want to get a driver's license, you want to take part in any kind of social public discourse, or, make some money, because, for you to make money in our society, you have to have a social security number, you have to have a driver's license, you have to have some proof of ID of residency, okay? I mean, when you talk to someone that completely lives off grid, they can make their own climate control, sort of. You could try to use the water and have your own little, off-grid community. But that's not a reality, because then what happens is you're now reinventing the wheel. And you're still going to need supplies and parts and things that are already pre-manufactured. How are you going to get those things that are pre-manufactured? Okay? To really live relatively comfortably. You're going to need salt if you're doing the Jilly Juice. Where are you going to get your salt from? You're not going to mine your own salt. You're going to have to purchase it from somewhere. Maybe you might have an inn somewhere where you can do kind of bargaining for trade. But that's the thing, is that the controls are tightening up, and for a reason. So the thing is, instead of resisting and instead of joining them in the death trajectory, okay, you could still take part in the system and beat it through your biochemistry if you understand chemistry. That's why I'm saying, those of you that understand Jilly Juice and understand that it purges out the antibodies, which is the ChIP. The ChIP is a type of validated antibody that does bring up high titers, high antibodies on a titer test. What are antibodies? They're antibody. They alter your DNA. They're not supposed to be in your body for any length of time, except for a very short amount of time when you're going through an upgrade process. Because that's what viruses are. They're an upgrade. And your body, if your body is strong enough, you might have a few antibodies that get developed because of the immune system, but then they're supposed to, on a very, very strong immune system, be released almost as quickly as they're being developed. But what's going on is we have so much stagnation in the population as far as their immune system and their colon that they're holding on to antibodies. That's why when you first start doing the Jilly Juice, it's hard to do the pooping, because the body has been trained to constipate you and hold on to poop, to hold on to the antibodies, to stagnate your lymphatic system. So you're holding on to garbage and antibodies and other excess stuff in your lymphatic system, and that's why there's lymphoma and lymphatic cancer and all these different types of diseases, because the body isn't releasing the excess antibodies. Okay? So when you're doing the Jilly Juice, you will be able to release the programming that is in the vaccine, but at least if you actually get a vaccination, that is your proof you've been immunized. That is without having you be tested. You don't need to be tested for the antibodies if you get the vaccine, because right there they know as soon as you get vaccinated, antibodies will develop. But they don't know the state of your body to begin with. So when somebody gets injected and they have not done the Jilly Juice, yeah, they're going to hold on to that injection programming. Okay, they're going to hold on to it. It's a given. But if somebody is on the Jilly Juice and they're going through the healing process, they're doing the purging, the waterfalls, they're reversing all of their cancer, disease, and chronic illness and everything else, and they're reversing the aging process, they'll get the vaccine, get the proof of vaccination, and it'll be on their permanent record, because there's going to be a permanent record of everything you do, okay, just so you know. Then you won't have to get tested and wonder if you come up positive and have to be quarantined. Okay? So that's why now I'm urging you to face the demon of vaccination. And I'm telling you, I get a lot of bad reviews on that, because they're like, oh, Jillian's selling out. No, I know exactly what the system is doing. There is no way to get around the system. You can do it for a short amount of time, but the controls are becoming narrower and narrower, that no matter which way you go, oh, I'm going to avoid being tested. I'm going to avoid the vaccine. I'm going to go off grid. They already have anticipated and predicted your reactions to every single measure out there, and they're selling fear. Just look at some of these groups out there. I go to a coronavirus watch group, and they're like all about the mask. I'm like, the masks are not going to stop the virus from getting out. It's no different than underwear stopping a fart and all of these little funny things that that people talk about. But they think that a mask is going to stop it. And so they're afraid they're going to die, and they very well should be afraid, because their body is so at a disadvantage, it's so at a deficit, that they get exposed to a new virus in the environment. It's going to cause antibodies, because they haven't fixed the weaknesses in their body. So antibodies, of course, are going to be coming to surface. That's why some people are testing positive, and others that have maybe a different biochemistry, different immune system, may test negative, but they might test positive later on down the road. But they're doing all this testing now to see if this virus that's been released can have people hold on to antibodies for a certain amount of time. Right now they're saying that people are holding on to these antibodies for maybe about 2 or 3 months at the most. And so us Jilly Juicers that are doing the Jilly Juice, we are purging, we are doing the waterfalls, we're dealing with the pain. We're not discriminating against food unless we're completely anaphylactic allergic, and then we avoid certain foods until we can reintroduce those foods back in our diet. We're not fasting. We're not playing the detox game. We're not bringing on the antibiotics, because that's also the other roadblock that the allopathic, holistic, and the medical community, and whoever it is that's pulling the strings, that's also one of the roadblocks they put out there. Like, oh, if you get a symptom from the COVID, now they have these monoclonal antibodies that are in a drug that will help relieve you from the evolution process / the pain / symptoms, okay? Or all of the holistic people are going to be turning to their colloidal silver, their diatomaceous earth, their bentonite clay, all of their antibiotics, further compounding the antibody acquisition, which will still further the agenda. And then, then they're like, okay, well, for the virus is mutating, and we are going to be giving out at some point mandatory vaccines. So I'm just giving you guys a glimpse of what is coming down the pipeline. You already see it. There's a article that I put out there from actually the Chemtrails Global Skywash, okay? And where someone refused to sign the health department requirements when they tested positive, and they were put on an ankle bracelet being watched by the sheriff department when they refused to comply with the health department's directives. So you're already seeing law enforcement and other agencies now putting the hammer down. So you could say, oh, I'm not going to comply. But if you want to take part in this society, if you want to have the privileges of freedom of movement, because once the vaccine has been developed, that's when the masks are going to be disappearing, and now it's all about the vaccine and the proof that you've been vaccinated or proof of immunization. And then if you do come up positive on a titer test, who knows how they're going to use that information against you to then further limit your movements. So I know I sound like a complete conspiracy theorist, but no, now that I understand that these antibodies are actually the mark of the beast, they are the things that are causing, which I already said in my book in here, that antibodies are the cause of death. Antibodies is what makes a person die from a heart attack and a stroke, because they clog up your arteries and your capillaries. They're the ones that also drown you in your own fluids, because the antibodies are being brought up because the body is now trying to recalibrate, and you're not purging out faster. You're not adapting faster than the antibodies is trying to help you adapt. But antibodies are only there to get rid of the unevolved cells. But when you have so many weaknesses, those antibodies develop faster when you're exposed to a new programming. So it is all about balance. But when the system is looking for high titers, that's no different than being HIV positive or HIV negative and then become HIV positive, and then that's a pathway to the actual AIDS virus, which isn't bad, but it's how your immune system is able to adapt to that new virus in the environment. And you could have been exposed to the AIDS virus and not have any symptoms because your immune system is that strong. It's those that have been exposed to these viruses with weak immune systems that fall victim to these different viruses that do have specific targets, that do have specific programming for specific parts of your system, but how strong you are or how weak you are will determine how then you'll react to that new virus in your environment. So, you know, I at this point, I'm only speaking to my Jilly Juicers and those of you that are contemplating and considering the Jilly Juice. And then, you know, if you really want to survive these next phases of evolution, you have to face the demons. And so these vaccinations, the virus, all the different medications in reaction to, all your little remedies, it's basically Judgment Day. You are now going to be judged by your lifestyle and your belief system simply by how you react to a new virus in the environment. And if you don't know how to beat the system, if you don't know how to understand chemistry, eventually you're going to fall for the game. You're going to be a victim of the game, because it is all a game. But why is this game so deadly? Because you guys do not understand how your immune system works. You don't understand how the chemistry of Jilly Juice works. Okay? I mean, I'm watching America's Book of Secrets about the Freemasons and this and that and da-da-da. And, you know, the whole thing with the mark of the beast and Satan and Luciferian stuff. And yeah, it is all about like magic. But with this magic of altering your DNA relative to the intention, to the benefit of someone else, but not you, that does eventually lead to a death trajectory, which in of itself then becomes satanic. Okay? So in the meantime, between life and death, if you believe people should die, it's all magical. It's all, oh wow, you know, he's a genius here, he's a crazy person here, he's a deviant here. It's all magical, right? Until the end result is that you're not regenerating at the micro level faster than you are inducing antibodies. And so, you know, there definitely is an agenda. There is a game, and there is a depopulation agenda. The antibody Y is the shape of the Baphomet. Now everything is about perception. as far as symbols, and that's fine. Is there an evil thing going on out there? It is for the people who are imbalanced. If you are not balanced correctly to where you can handle the changes and adapt to the changes in your environment, somebody is getting rid of the useless eaters. If you're constantly taking and taking and taking from the system and not regenerating and contributing and regenerating and promoting life and promoting balance, the system is going to balance it out. Mother Nature, who works through the people who are implementing these directives, it's the system that's going to balance people out. And that's why I got so much press on Dr. Phil. Even though they were making fun of me, they still put me out there. They still gave you guys a choice between life and death. And if you still think that salt is deadly, if you still think probiotics is deadly, if you still think death is an expectation, then you will take yourself out of the game. Nobody's doing anything to you because you've actually chosen that path. Okay, so there should be no complaints, no activism, no saying, oh my God, they're all trying to kill us. When you've been given two choices, even though they mischaracterize me and try to induce fear, it doesn't matter. This book substantiates the life and death laws. And it shows you the myths behind the fear of the salt, the myth behind the fear of sugar, the myth behind the fear of pain. So now you have two choices. If you think people should die, you think pain is bad, and I don't know what else, then you might as well get off all your soapboxes and stop demonizing anything because you think people should die. You've already proven what the system is trying to do is take away the useless eaters. The people who are just taking and consuming and not contributing. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy if you think people should die. But if you think people should live, then there is no war. You're just going to take care of your own body, mind, and spirit. Take yourself out of the war, out of the activism, out of the distractions. And you build up your body right. You take the vaccine because you know if you don't, and then they test you to see if you come up positive, or they throw you in jail, or whatever else. If you don't take the vaccine, you're not going to be able to prove how strong you are to withstand your environment internally and externally. Because it's not a lethal injection. You're not on death row. You're getting an upgrade. And this is how the system is cleaning out the useless eaters and those that are too weak to really be able to adapt. Because already you're seeing the outcome of imbalanced people. The Epsteins, the bullies, the cancel cultures out there. What else? You know, the medical holistic system, all the activism, the racism, all the isms in our society. That is a manifestation of imbalances that this virus and the vaccinations are going to start cleaning up this earth. And you can be washed away with the vaccines and the viruses and all of the holistic remedies and allopathic remedies, or you can face your demons, get the vaccine, purge the antibodies, and live through this purge. You have three choices. Choose wisely. Good luck. Happy Sunday.